Now what I'd like to do is demonstrate with this piece of spruce some techniques to get a better finish on your holes. Our twist drill's directly over the center hole in the platen. And I'm just going to hold this and I'm going to drill through and show you what happens. Okay, if we look at the back, you can see that we've got a torn out hole. This side is fair to middling, it's okay, but this side is unacceptable. You have all these fibers that are now damaged and torn out. And so what would be a better way of doing this hole? Now, the first thing I'd recommend is that you have a sacrificial piece of wood underneath your block. And particle board is excellent. It's inexpensive and you can use cutoffs from your jig making. So I'm going to drill a hole right next to that one. Now, if we take a look and we compare these two holes, there is little or no tear out in this instance. When we used just the twist drill, there was a lot of tear out. Next suggestion. If you're going to bore a hole through a heavy piece of wood like this and you want a nice finish, don't use a twist drill. This is where your Forstner bit is going to be the bit of choice. And you'll notice that I keep those Forstner bits in their packets. That way there's no way those cutting edges can get damaged. Same idea. I'm clearing the drill to let the swath get out. Now here, what we had was the swath was all jammed up in our drill bit, and when we got down to the bottom, it didn't make a clean hole. So how can we avoid that? Let's try it again. Okay, I'm going to turn the drill off. And I'm going to clear the flute of the swath. We're going to line this up without the motor running so that we have a good idea where we need to be. Okay, so this time we had a much clearer hole. We didn't have the terrible tear out, and that is a result of keeping the flutes of your drill clear. So if you have a hole to drill in a heavy piece of wood, be sure to use a backing piece and be sure to keep the flutes clear of the swath that you're drilling out. In our project to make our Jenny ribs, we're going to have to put some holes in here to get it so we can use our jigsaw to cut out. So I'm going to use my Forstner bit with a backing board, and we're going to move the backing board as I go around and cut these holes so that we have fresh wood so that we don't get tear out. And we're just going to do a series of these holes. So what we've done is we've drilled a series of holes that we're now, in the next step of this project, we're going to cut out these, and this will allow us to put the blade. But what you see is by having this fresh piece of particle board as a backing, we have nice clean holes with little or no tear out in the plywood veneer. Sometimes when you're drilling, you need to bring the drill to the work. When you have a long spar, which this is just a short piece of, and you have to drill a hole through it, you want to drill that hole very accurately because it's going to have to meet up with some other fitting on the airplane. So one of these little mobile drill presses is great, and this particular drill that I have here is a real high-speed drill, so it does a great job on the wood. The things you want to be sure that you do in advance, of course, is once you get your setup, make sure that your drill bit is perpendicular with your surface, that it's not coming down in an angle, or that your piece of wood is not planar. You may have to actually, level up the piece of wood and make sure, using a spirit level or a carpenter level. If this was a long spar, you'd want to be absolutely certain that it was parallel with your work surface. It does take a little bit of setup, but in the end, it's much better result. So this faux spar that we're using for practice, I've marked with 2 holes. We're going to drill one with a twist drill and the other with a Forstner bit, and we're going to take a look at that. So what we're going to do now is, rather than using a twist drill bit, we're going to use a Forstner bit. We're just going to clean the swath out. Alright, so now we've cut 2 holes, one with the twist drill and one using the Forstner bit. And you just have to be careful with the Forstner bit to keep cleaning the swath, the cuttings out. And we'll take a look at our, there's 2 different size holes, but you'll have a comparison of how the different drill bits do. Okay. There was a little bit of tear out on the Forstner bit, but you can see we got a nice square round hole. I probably could have used a little more pressure on my backing wood. And then there's our twist drill, which has just a normal hole, very little tear out. So if I had to do this over again, I might just have a little more pressure between the wood and your backing piece. And that's drilling in place. The second type of drilling in place that you're going to have in common use is using a drill bushing. And what we've done is we've taken some thick wall tubing and has the interior diameter hole big enough for the drill bit that we want, and it's welded to a piece of thin steel plate. We've held it in place exactly where we want it on this dummy spar, and there's a backing piece of sacrificial plywood. And I'm just going to plunge this portable drill down through those holes, and we'll have our holes drilled in place. And you'll notice that I had brought the drill up and down to clear the swath out of the flutes of the drill. So now we'll take a look and see. That's our piece of sacrificial plywood. There's our drill bushing. And we turn this over and we have our nice holes. So that gives you some idea of different ways of drilling and using your drill press, your portable, movable drill press, and then drill bushings to make precise holes in a spar or somewhere on an aircraft.